Good afternoon. Great afternoon. You say good afternoon, good morning, but this is a great afternoon. Like I'm smiling.
How can we be anyplace else? How did we get here in the first place? We heard Shinge Roshi discuss how 50 years ago, Hoen-ji was in its embryonic state. I don't know what we call the state now, but it's wonderful. It's funny, layers of history at this session, even with quote unquote so few of us, the many generations that are represented. It's kind of a mess in the dining hall. We don't say evil anymore. We don't say man. And these are rightful changes to our chanting that's evolved over the years, but there's different manifestations throughout the years. So we hear, we're correcting ourselves. Evil, no good. Harmful. Harmful, I mean, human being, not man. So it just shows how hard it is to train mind with chanting, and how as a senior student, I'd feel bad if I got a card out to read because I'm supposed to know these things, but I think I'm going to from now on. It's no loss in dignity to use a chanting book rather than mumble through it. Yeah, I memorized Daisagaki, right. So don't be ashamed of it. Man, we all know this. Don't be ashamed of mistakes. This morning, telling Shinge Roshi, this unbelievable faith in mind, tingles going up my spine every time you just mention it. There's always another, infinity has no limits, so there's an infinite way to have this go through your being. And today, it's like lightning to me. Probably the whole lead up to this session, 2 years of lack of session, and before that, family, and this and that, and excuse after excuse. We all do it. I'm probably a master at excuses. Well, yeah, why? I don't understand, because just one sitting, you're sitting there and you're like, why was I making up excuses to so-called avoid something? Roshi said at first, Bohatsu, everybody's leaving, and the last person, where are you going? You can't go anywhere. Literally, you can't. You can go in SpaceX with all these rich people in the outer space. We're already in space, by the way. I don't know what they're so obsessed with, but we are in space. It's a planet in space. It's only like 5 miles away. You could drive down to Green Hills Farms and you'd be in space if you went straight up. But at any rate, you can't get away. The moon sets, but it's always in the universe. So what am I, what am I afraid of losing? A sense of humor or something? I come out of session and Rohatsu, you're still you, but you're not you. Am I afraid of losing control? Who's in control? How can I? If I was in control, I'd have to beat my own heart. I'd have to breathe my own breath. I'd have to digest food. Why, by the way, excellent. Unbelievable. Thank you, Tenzos. The most important part of this session. Wow. So, what is it? But again, it doesn't take long. Sitting on the cushion with a few breaths and painfully, whatever, to you're not going to have an answer why I'm here or how did I get here. You can go through the history, which I'd like to talk a little bit about how I found this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place and this wonderful teacher and this Sangha, which I choke up every time I think about it. I mean, I have a lot of Sanghas in my life. I treat them as a Sangha in a sense, my family, my business cohorts, the people I talk to, the little kids, that people are like, Because how are we separate? You know, I have trouble with Trump followers, but that's another thing. And I wonder why too. What is that about? You know, I think I'll touch upon that later, because I can't understand exactly what's going on. But by reading these passages, you can figure it out. You know, attachment and clinging has no bounds. You know, you go down these darker paths. It's called an algorithm on Facebook. They're going to make you click buttons, and you're going to be so entrenched through that rabbit hole. You're going to be, yeah, right. Even on the liberal side, even on this side or that side. What side is there? Gee, many crickets. There's no sides. It's fun to get angry at people, and it's fun, you know, in a perverted sense for the human mind, but no sides. What's going on? So here we see there's no sides. We see there's only nothing that's separating us, and maybe we'll have a better perspective. I mean, I remember when that guy first won. You know, the one thought that came to my mind is goodness will always prevail. The Dhammapada. You know, we're like I'm hearing all these wonderful Dharma songs out the windows. You know, the little kids, the crickets, the birds, obviously leaves, and there was a bell last night for some reason, but you know, these sounds, and there's a lot going on around this city. It's a pretty violent city. It's a great city, and it's an epicenter for this practice, obviously. Karmically, we're all, you know, very fortunate to be in the vicinity of this city, but there's churches and there's synagogues and there's other you know, mosques. But I see this, as Roshi said, you walk towards this place. I come down South Ave and I'm like, wow, 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 wow. You just know you're approaching something. This mystical is a bad word. It's just right. It's the right feeling. It's your home. So it's the idea of the lotus growing in a swamp, you know, rooted in the mud, this beautiful flower, is, you know, taking nutrients from the mud, which is so-called gross. We're floating in this city that has a lot of issues and problems, but that's what our engaged Buddhist mind is. That's what this kanzon chanting in the morning is about. And physically actually be audible to the universe around us without just this, if people aren't attuned, maybe just some of the beautiful vibrations that we're putting off with our nen, we certainly are waking them up with kanzon. And it takes certain people to be involved in this. We wish everybody could be, but we're not knocking on doors. Have you heard the word of Buddha today? We're not doing that. I'd love to. I mean, they say ask 3 times with Zen, you know, and you're not proselytizing. But you don't have to. You sit across from Shinge Roshi, for many of us, especially after Sesshin, and you don't have to say anything. You're not trying to prove anything. I'm not trying to prove anything. It happens. The tree isn't proving anything. It's dogwood. Yeah, I named it. I wasn't gonna. Biology mind. Not trying to prove anything. Just so I was at you know, the forestry school, as you know, I was learning about trees. It's a curse. Now it's a curse. Can't go outside without, oh, look at the red oak. Is that a, you know, there's a white oak. There's, you know, your brain is coming up with all these words, and I'm getting better. That's one of the reasons I like sitting. But anyway, this whoa, rather than, you know, naming things. They don't, this dog doesn't know. The easiest tree to tell by its bark, by the way. But, so I would DSF and, you know, and there was always something. I was raised as a Lutheran, and my wonderful father, which we'll talk about a little later, he was in the meditation. we went to church, and then it was like twice a year, just, God knows we're around kind of attitude. And it's true, he had too much work to do. He's a German guy. He's got to work. He's got to mow the lawn on Sundays. Day of rest, perhaps? Nah. But, same with the farmer I worked at, 7 days of work, Dave, had to let the guy go last year. He said he had to go to church. So, which was fine. I wouldn't say we were religious or not religious, but we all, there's something, this birth and death thing, suffering, grandmother dies and so on, so gets sick and you wonder, and I always used to think, what's the sense? I was a very joyful, positive person pretty much all my life, I think. I grew up, I loved out of doors. How can you not be happy when you're out walking around collecting insects and just being outside all the time and just enjoying life as it is, but hating what mankind was doing to this world around. I wanted to be just transported away with some alien race. Not Elon Musk or anything, he's alien enough, but just get away from these people. I used to say I like human beings, I just didn't like people. But I did like them, But it was like, how can you? At that time, it was, Silent Spring, DDT, and no eagles. You couldn't see an eagle when I was young. An osprey, forget it. They were not around. And I collected insects and hunting. When I learned about the word extinction, that blew my mind. Trying to realize that something just doesn't exist anymore. I can understand maybe in an evolutionary sense of extinction of the dinosaurs, maybe, but the dodo bird, the passenger pigeon, the woodpecker, it's just unfathomable to me how that could happen. But at any rate, so there was always that sense of what is this about? But it didn't really, you go into school and your day-to-day life, it didn't really, this stuff is happening. Subconsciously, consciously, it's happening. It's been happening for a long time. Life after life after life after life after life. We've rubbed our robes together before. So, of course, I didn't know any of that. Not that I know it now, I'm just saying it, but I feel it. But, so I went, ESF, that was my dream place to go. I learn about trees, actually take classes on stuff that I was just in love with all my life. It was the best. Maybe organic chemistry was an exception, but it proved that I could do it. I could just study hard and get a degree. But studying, I was pretty good at studying. I would go to the 4th floor of the SU Bird Library. I think it was the 4th floor. Because nobody studied at SU. Those libraries were empty. The ESF library was packed and it was very noisy. People were studying and talking too, but I found the 4th floor was the religious studies floor. Very quiet. But there was nobody there. It was great. So on my breaks of studying, I would just wander the aisles and just sort of look at the titles and pull a book out, maybe just, the Quran, Bhagavad Gita, and various texts. It was just fascinating to read these things, and a little bit, but then all of a sudden, Buddhism. And then I got this, when you fall in love the first time? You have that, if they put it, the zing, if you ever watch Hotel Transylvania. But anyway, you might be a father. It's zing. Why did that feel so, quote unquote, comfortable to me, that word, that Buddha? I started reading a little bit, and reading a little bit more, and starting to buy books. We talked about how when people put their books down and just sat, I'd make it a religious at reading, but that's about it. But every morning, have some tea, then read some books, read some chapters, and I got started with the favorites, the LSD people like Alan Watts, and working back and back and back to the Sutras, Gospels, Doshin Zenji inside, and the Platform Sutra, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, and practicing bamboo breathing and sitting, and I was scared the crap out of it. Whoa, where did I go? What was that? I was afraid because they did recommend you find a teacher. In Syracuse? Right. I didn't have a phone. wasn't Yellow Pages. I certainly didn't have a computer at that time. This was 1986, 87, when I was going to grad school, maybe. And then I saw Dick Pilgrim was teaching a Zen Buddhism class at SU, and I asked him to if I could just audit it. And they, well, sorry, but there was the audits were even filled up. But he saw my friend, my roommate, and myself enthusiasm or something, and he said, "Oh, sure, you can sit in the back. Just listen." Well, we became the most important participants. What? And he had a, and everybody's like, what, So, because I wanted a reading list, I didn't want to just namby-pamby walk around and try to figure out. I needed some direction. And, well, go to 7 or 8 bookstores. Stuff on West Side. Just right down the street. All this time. I even moved closer. Today we were cleaning over the Tenzo. Where do these chopsticks go down? That was right there, next to this chopstick holder, right in front of me. Man, so I think some of the most, but it's the readiness of time, as Ada Roshi said, which I kind of understood. I was ready. There's that thing again. I was ready. The Dharma was ready for, well, look back at this again. The time was ready. Went to Seven Ray's bookstore to get another book. I had stacks of them, and my own Zafu. I remember walking down, someone actually identified, probably a Zen participant from 111 as I'm walking by. Oh, is that a Zafu? Yes. How, all these clues. It's like these movies, like The Sixth Sense, oh, he was dead all along. You all these clues. Man, but again, time is ready for you. You are ready for it. So I was buying a book on Doshin Zenji, and the first time the cashier person said, "Oh, that's a great book on Buddhism. That's a great book. Oh, you know something of Buddhism. You know something about it. Oh, yeah. Is there a Zen center around here?" And she did exactly what Togan did. All she did was point to the bulletin board, which I walked by about 5 million times. Zen Center Syracuse phone number on there, and the address. So it was it was just about this time of year, as a matter of fact, 1990. It was a long time ago. It was last century. But I was nearing my 30th birthday. It just happened to be that time. So I made a vow that I would go on my 30th birthday. It turned out I went on a Thursday night. It was a couple of days before, but at any rate, I started. Called up. They said, "Just come on in, come on down." I don't know if I talked to anybody or she just said go. And this is a classic story. Jishin, her name was, Kathy Tooney. She answered the door. "You don't have to knock." I'm like, well, how pleasant, but how direct. It was just so wonderful to have that freshness of just, you're welcome to come in. You don't even need to knock. So, again, that feeling, Saigyo was there, Hogan was there, Mikyu was there, of course, Shinge Roshi was there. Just no Jishin instruction, no, come over to the Dharma hall, we'll teach you, we'll hold your hand. Jishin just says, just follow along, you'll do fine. Maybe she asked, maybe she knew because she saw me and said, I don't know, it doesn't matter. People know these things. I wasn't even that anxious about it. I just felt it was right. The bowing, the sitting, whoa. So I'm coming back. I couldn't go to the Saturday because we had an intervention actually for an alcoholic mother of my friends on my birthday. And so yeah, that's a whole other story. But I started coming Thursday, Saturday. Saturday was like the morning service in this attic, which was just, again, this magical place. Back in those days, we would sit. The attic was, you're right under the roof. So you had the roof come down, and then it was maybe 3.5 feet, and then sit facing the walls. And sometimes that was great because if you fell asleep, you'd just boom into the wall. It would wake you right up. Similarly to what they did in Japan at night for Zuiza, informal sitting. We go back to the Zendo after Kaichin, which was already late. I don't know. I had no watch there, of course. I'm like, what time is it? You don't care. You don't really want to know what time it is. But so you go back, pretend you go to sleep, and then you get up one by one. You take your rocks off, by the way, at night when you're doing Zwiebak, because it's informal. And we'd grab it was a tabbaton. It was like this combination of zafu and tabbaton that you just sort of fold up in a different, like a little S shape with a little ledge that you sat on. Super uncomfortable. But and then you sit on the edge of this wall, like this kinhin deck around the huge Dharma hall, which was just concrete under you, and they put you right on the edge. And everybody was masters at sleeping without falling off that thing. I don't know how they did it, but it was encouraging you to stay awake, because literally you'd crack your skull, you'd drop like 4 feet and hit the concrete. You'd probably, I don't know if you'd die, but you wouldn't be in very good shape. So that's the kind of encouragement we got. But it was similarly, it wasn't quite as bad, but with, bumping into the wall. But what a atmosphere was amazing. And then the first weekend session, you go home, you'd sit through the day, and I was David then. I guess I'm still David. But Roshi, they were painting across the street, and the painters had music, and I thought it was the best thing. Wow, take my mind off my knees. And I was sitting Seiza then, because I couldn't. By the way, I can't do this anymore either. But I've come full circle. I feel like I'm such a good practitioner. I'm like on day 3 of pain, and it's only day 1. But at any rate, they're playing music, and it was like, wow, this is a great distraction. Thank you, painters. And Roshi knew. David, hi. I don't know if I said hi, probably not. Didn't know that yet. Yes? Could you please go across the street and ask the painters to turn the music down? Okay. So I did, and they were really cool. Like, where we have a meditation meeting over there, and oh yeah, that's cool, man. We'll turn it down. Like, so anyways, I had no escape. Can't go anywhere. But it was fun. Of course, you get through all that somehow. But then you just know, you guys know. You just know. And it was, oh, here, sorry. Just the pot. I haven't even taken a sip. Of course, the more you sip, the more you sit and sit. And, I'm going to try, and then she mentioned the places that room would be packed. Like New Year's Eve chanting, they'd be stuffed out into this little storage area where Andy kept stuff, and where this Han was out there, and that Boncho was out there for the. I remember how complicated the Han seemed to be at first. It was like, there was even a little notation, the strikes and stuff, and then I realized 753. Oh, okay, there's actually a pattern to it. Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. So it was expanding so much, we could, and Roshi wanted to do longer session than just a cup, in her attic, and have, so we've done it. We did it at someone's house once, and then Alverna Heights. Again, it was, spring. Sometimes the starlings were nesting up underneath this tin roof. They're not the most pleasant sounding birds when they're feeding their babies. They're super loud. Yeah, I've seen them over here. Beautiful bird. But anyways, so it was hot in there. It got sort of like a Cool Hand Luke, spend a night in the box type thing. But again, you just sat and that energy of all these people at NICU, and oh man, then I took Chukai. I was given this unbelievable name, Doshin. And it's a name you have to, Dharma name is, if you're an enlightened teacher, knows. And you have to live up to that name. But do you? You just have to realize it. Again, back to this. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you for reminding me. It's not me. That's after the first session we went to a place called Thea House too once. Almost died of carbon monoxide poisoning because apparently the heaters were like, everybody's so sleepy in the window. why are my cheeks flushed? We had these space heaters going, which were kerosene, I think, and it wasn't. Yeah, so we just turned them off. But again, wonderful people to offer that space, and beautiful forest to walk in Alverna Heights for breaks. And again, it was a developing, from the embryo in the basement to the moldy Episcopal church to, it's just growth. And yes, everyone here, everyone there, and then and now worked hard, but how could this be possible? How could Daibusatsu Zendo be possible? All these monasteries, if you go to Japan, it's the Shogenji. It's like, how? These are people doing this. It's like talking about the pyramids, The pyramids were made maybe by slaves. Well, monks are similar. But it's not. After my first session at Daibusatsu, I realized I wasn't doing this. How could I? No way. I was doing it. I would have been driving down to Livingston Manor, after the first day. It's like, whoa. I thought I was going to do permanent damage. Then I realized, oh, I'm impermanent. How can I do permanent damage after doing kin? And all these enlightened thoughts, these are the best ones. And, they're good. They're helpful. They'll throw me a bone here, We'll get you through with it. But then you learn, or you watch, or it teaches you again, reminds you from life after life of pain and suffering. Don't fight it. Man alive, what are you going to do? Can't go anywhere. And then I was doing seizan, my knees are burning, and it just felt. But everything got bright, still there. I just felt like this giant cosmic mudra, Buddha's hand. I'm sitting in them. It was hallucination, but it was really nice. But it was something deep, and said, "Don't worry." That's why I'm avoiding these things. Maybe that's one answer. It's like, who wants to have suffering? But that's that. Thank you again. The avoidance of suffering is the creation of suffering. Suffering is, samsara, nirvana, dukkha. What is the difference? What else is there? And so we sit and we chant and we just love each other here. It's so unbelievable. I was telling Roshi too that we talk a lot. No, but I was telling her that it's like a reset for me, because when you go through this, I went to Daibusatsu, I was ordained a monk. I can tell you more of that story someday. But then went to Japan. There's a lot of stuff, and even the best, sitting, it still becomes baggage too. Even with Zen baggage, let's think of Zen baggage, and memories, and maybe even quote unquote somewhat, I wouldn't say traumatic, but intense situations that occur, like in practice, and it could be from exterior circumstances to internal triggering. That you need that. You need it. It's going to happen. Again, it's not your choice really. It's actually, you have to welcome it. But at the same time, the COVID reset. I guess when you take something away, you realize what you've lost. Coming Thursday, again, the best, you can get, you do something over and over, you have to have beginner's mind. It's easy to say, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes it becomes routine, and, I lead a tour down what's called the Bog Trail. The Bog Trail. I've done it literally thousands of times with students. And, got my little routine and shtick, sure, but it's a similar thing where it's a practice where everyone else on that trail is new, pretty much. They might have come once or twice. You've done it a million times, but you could have read this a million times, but you've seen something new. It's changing all the time. Every millisecond it's changing. But you can get into that pattern of repetition. But it's not, how can it possibly be the same? What did Roshi say? Unprecedented and unrepeatable. Yeah, I said it. What is that? Been there, done that? What the heck? Did we come up with this It's vernacular, our society. It's really, do you feel that way? I don't think so. So at any rate, the few years of Zoom and seeing everyone, masked and at distance, 6 feet, I'm overwhelmed coming back. And my life is shifting in a big way. I finally decided to retire from Beaver Lake. And again, another dream job. I'm such a lucky stiff. Man, okay. Wow. It's just unbelievable. I got a job teaching people about the things that I love. Guess what? Now I've got a job teaching people what really matters to love. So when I retire, watch out. Keep love. I'm going to be here a lot. Sorry to inform you. But we're already setting up for the library up in Brewerton, Zen, and I don't think I'm going to be bored when I'm retired. Let's put it that way. So it's an amazing transitional moment at this session to be. I'm going to do it January 1st. So Kanzeon, how many times? 108 times. So it's really really awesome. But I mentioned important turning point too with loss. I hate to use that. I use this term loss of my father. Again, you can't lose anything in this universe. I was trying to frame all those terms while he fell at his house. He turned 90 June 27th. He wanted to outlive his mother, who died at 89. Wonderful German lady came over with her husband in 1921. So, like second generation. But at any rate, he had a rough life growing up on a farm, but became a wonderful person. He had a temper. He gave it to me too, quote unquote, or I took it. Hey, I like what you're doing, being angry at things, but he never was mean to us or hit us or anything like that. But that's one of my things. Dokusan is like, there's an authority figure. I've got to get it right. But like the first time I mowed the lawn, did a good job, Dave, but get the line straighter next time. I'm like, wow. It took me hours. I'm like pushing this thing. But but again, I killed him a long time ago. When I was a teenager, I realized I had to kill him. I couldn't see him as my father. I just had to see him as a person that was never a father before. He's doing it for the first time. He's going to make mistakes, and I'm a jerk too. Sometimes, a little red up. So after that, when I let him go as my father, he was always my father, of course, but then it was different. So anyways, he fell at his house. We were just about to get him out of there, and he fell at night, and I think something else was going on because he kind of precipitously got worse in health. First he went to the hospital, and then he was out at Syracuse Home for rehab. Then he started getting the pulmonary embolisms, and and he had a slightly bleeding stomach because he's always had an ulcer. Earlier on when he almost died of that when he was like 40 probably. So they couldn't give him blood thinner because his ulcer would be exacerbated. He was on this. He had the rock in a hard place, the stupid thing. But what are we going to do except help him be comfortable? His mind was always right there. We're in the hospital, and then heard some. There's all kinds of sounds at a hospital. And he looks up, Earth, the mothership. He's still making jokes when he's probably out of pain. So how you look at how you're feeling during these times. My sister was there. People are dealing with different ways, if you want to call it dealing. But I just felt his strength, and I felt, yeah, you're sad, but I'm not trying to look for sadness or all I felt was congratulations. You lived 90 years. You are in good hands right now. Chanting. And then he went to just the hospice care facility. St. Francis House, yes. Again, the French. Must have been a pretty cool saint. But anyways, and I played the Dharma talk that Joe Rocco gave. He wasn't unconscious, but he was so weak because he had stopped eating. He couldn't eat. And I told her it had such an effect. Just brought every one of you to that room via Zoom. And yeah, he died August 1st, but we were there. Watched his last breath. And like I said, we all face that. That's another reason where you don't want to sit. Like make excuses, or I make excuses. It's like, do I have to really look death in the face? And do I have to really go through the cemetery meditations? Do I have to really think about it? Yes. Yes, this dogwood's not thinking about it. But we have brains that are avoiding thinking about it. If you sit, you're not thinking about anything, hopefully. So maybe some answers will occur. At least I know with you guys and this wonderful practice and an unbelievable teacher and many teachers that have come, including this dogwood, there's nowhere to go.